Hi, everybody. How's it going? I am really excited to get started today. It is our seventh anniversary, and we are going to celebrate. And I'm so glad that you're here to celebrate with us today. We're going to get started on a quick video that we made, kind of celebrates what we've done over the last year. So sit back, enjoy, and here we go. I loved making that video. That was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. It's been a crazy year. It's been exhilarating. It's been exhausting, and I can see all of my staff members who were on backstage shaking their heads. They're like, "Wow, we've been through a lot this year." But you know what? We had so much fun doing it, and that's really what's so important. So for today. I'm so happy that you're here and that you're carving out a little bit of time to celebrate with us, and we really appreciate that. So whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and make comments. They pop up for us to see, especially when we have our special guest coming up. If you had questions for Dr. Four, please key those in, and I can share those with her. And plus, we love to see all the comments coming in from everybody. So we really appreciate those. So let's do a quick year in review because it's been one of those fun years. Let's get through the hard stuff first. I think probably one of the biggest thing was that big piece of facade falling in front of the shop. So thank you so much for being flexible about that and the parking challenges that came with that and the chain link maze. That was always fun. Coming to work and not knowing how we were going to be able to get into the building. That was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that. We also talked about, sneaking people in the side door, go to the green door in the alley, knock twice and you can come in. It was like a speakeasy or something. But you know what? We made it through and we did a lot of shuffling dogs in and out, and we appreciate you guys being helpful with that and understanding that it was so far out of our control that we couldn't do a darn thing with it, and putting up with the hot pavement because that would have to happen in like April and last until August. But you know what? We overcame it. We did what we had to do. And if you remember something that was on the bad side, please add that to the comments so we can just acknowledge it and move on. We don't have to bring that into 2022 with us. But let's talk about the fun stuff. We got to meet more than 300 new clients and dogs this year. So that means that for every day we were open, we saw more than one new client. And we have you to thank for that because we don't do any advertising. Um, we have such great ambassadors in our current clients and members of the veterinary community that we don't need to do that. We can focus our time and our energies on helping the dogs that are coming through the door. So I can't thank you enough for that. That means a lot to know that you trust us to not only take care of your dog, but take care of your friends' dogs. Your good words mean a lot to us. So keep that coming. We really appreciate it. We were able to do a few more mobility chats this year. So it covered topics like obesity, osteoarthritis, canine dementia, knuckling, which has been a really popular one on YouTube. I get a lot of questions about that one. Um, and choosing simple things like choosing the right boots. So we hope to be able to continue to do those in the coming year. Um, Looking forward to those. And probably one of my favorite things that we do is we do a lot of work with pack. So this year we were able to help, nearly 20 pack dogs directly with hands on. There were numerous others that we consulted on or did tune ups or carts or things like that. So we really value our relationship with pack, and we appreciate their trust in us. And there's really not much better than helping a shelter dog or a dog in rescue. And speaking of rescues, we were able to work with nearly 10 rescues this year. So groups like Arizona Cattle Dog Rescue, Big Mutt Network, Cherish Tails, Pay People, Sager, which is Southern Arizona Golden Retriever Rescue, Cold Wet Noses, and we also worked with Green Valley Animal League this year. And I am happy to announce that one of the guys we worked with, Buck, got adopted yesterday. So it was perfect timing. Buck had kind of a special story in that his dad went into VA hospice and was not expected to come back out. Buck had been living in the home by himself for more than a month. And this is a dog who is in a wheelchair, as you can see. He's incontinent. The neighbors were doing the best they could. The folks at the Animal League of Green Valley called us and said, "Hey, we got a dog. We need some help." We were able to get the dog in within a day or so, get his cart tuned up, get him everything that he needed, introduced the Animal League to how to take care of his urinary and his fecal incontinence, how to manage that with belly bands and diapers, and really just be able to present a lot of information that made it easier for Buck to find a place to live out his final years. He's most likely a hospice dog, and you know what? He came in pretty defeated, but once we got his cart up and running, he looked like that. So we're always happy to see that smile. I'll tell you, that smile makes it absolutely all worth it. So I I couldn't do this by myself. I have a small but mighty team that helps me out with that. So I'm going to bring these folks up onto the screen with me. If you hold on, here we go. Say hi to Julia, Dr. Maureen McCoggin, Pat Bishop, Kim Dion, and Nikki. Nikki Forer is going to walk over here behind me. Hi, Nick. So I wanted to definitely take a couple of minutes here to thank the folks on my team because I can't do this alone. I did it alone for 4 years, and let me tell you, it's not a lot of fun. It's exhausting. It's so much more fulfilling to have folks around you that do such a great job. And I hear a lot of folks say, it's so hard to find the right people to hire. Well, guess what? Everybody you see on that screen was handpicked, and they were excited to come and work here, and I was excited to have them join my team because I knew what great people they were and what they were going to be able to bring to the mobility challenge community here in Tucson. And I can't say enough great things, but you know what? I'm going to try. And if you have anything that you would like to share about any of these folks, please feel free to put those in the comments. I know that they will enjoy hearing those and seeing those because they're fantastic. So let's start with Nikki. She's right over my shoulder. Nikki Fromm is my mobility tech. She's been with me from the beginning. She was my first employee. I plucked her out of a dog daycare, and I'm so glad that I did. Nikki's added a lot of new skills this year, specifically in enrichment, canine enrichment, which she's going to show us some stuff a little bit later, but also mobility-specific fitness. So she's come a long way on being able to work directly with the clients and work with me, so we have a good team environment when we're working with that mom or dad and their dog. to be able to take them to the next level of those mobility skills that they need. Nikki's also my swim extraordinaire. She's going to be the one that's going to take the dog specifically. I think Kathleen June can speak to this. Nikki has taught probably 3 or 4 of her adopted dogs to swim, just with her demeanor and the way that she makes them feel comfortable and confident being able to get into and out of the water. Nikki's also my master cart builder and adjuster. And let me tell you, she's my hands when mine don't work. And young eyes when I can't see what my hands are trying to do. So I appreciate that. And Nick, you're the best. Thank you. Okay, Kim Dion. Kim is our client and vet relationship manager, which I really couldn't do without because, quite frankly, that's not where I excel. And I see some grins coming out because that is so true. We have a joke that I'm not allowed to do anything in the front office because I always mess it up. So Kim's the one that keeps everybody in line. And she's pretty much responsible for every aspect of your visit. So when you come in the door, she makes sure I have the notes that I have to have from the doctor. She coordinates with them to make sure we have that. She makes sure your appointment is set and ready to go, that you know when it is. She's the one that makes stuff work really on the front end side. So I appreciate that. Kim also has she has a special role for me in that she manages all of our communication with clients after their dogs pass. So everything that you see that comes from us, Kim is the coordinator on that piece. So as the president of Tucson Cold Wet Noses and her other day job, she has a lot of experience with loss and what that's like for the fosters and the pet parents. So Kim's a great face to put out front and make everybody feel welcome and heard and giving them room to grieve. So Kim, that's a special piece for me that I've always wanted to do. Kim's also put together an end of life and hospice booklet for us that we're almost finished with, that all of our clients who were in that position, they'll be getting that. It's going to help shepherd them through that process. So Kim, thank you for your hard work on that. You're fantastic. And thank you for not letting me cancel my lunch. My wife appreciates that as well. Kat Bishop is our newest addition. Give us a wave. There we go. I was lucky enough to be able to snag Kat. Perfect timing. She stuck her hand up and said, "Hey, I really want to work for you." And I said, "Hey, I really want you to work for me. So let's get this going." So Kat's my fixer in a lot of different ways. So if I have a problem, whether that is with a database or something to do with the facility, I just say, "Kat, I need you to take care of this." And you know what? I can forget about it. And she just makes it work. She's basically rebuilt our database, which was in shambles. Again, I'm not good with the detail stuff. So thank you, Kat, for taking care of that. And she's also our marketing product manager, which is fantastic. We'll be able to reach out and have a much tighter relationship with the veterinarians in town and make sure that we're getting their patients and their clients exactly what they need. So I'm so happy to have you on board, Kat. Thanks for coming in.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And then we'll go to Julia Flores, who is that smiley face when you walk in on a Sunday morning. So if you come in on Sundays, it's Julia that says, "Come on in. Good morning." That's our Julia. So Julia's been such a good, fun addition. I mean, you work what, 4 hours a week, 5 hours a week, something like that.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate you filling that weird Sunday morning time slot. But it seems to work. So we appreciate everything you do and keeping everybody happy and sunny and in fresh towels on Sunday morning. So and then Julia's mom, Amy, also works with us. She's a little under the weather today, so she isn't able to join us. I jokingly call Amy the adult in the room. Because she is the one that keeps us in cleaning products and cheese for the dogs. She's the one that helps us keep the facility looking as great as it does. So Amy's worked with us for a really long time, partially up front, and then she moved to more of a back of the house role to um, keep everything going the way that it should. So we appreciate Amy. And finally, Dr. Maureen McCoggan. Hi, Maureen. Maureen is our online course development director. So she's the one that gets to hear all my crazy content ideas. And sometimes she's like, oh, that's a great idea. And other times it's like, I don't know about that. So she is my sounding board for all topics. And you've been a huge help for me in a lot of different ways, and especially launching loyalcompanion.com. I'm sorry, learn.loyalcompanion.com, or our online arm. That continues to develop. That's been a big piece, and you are my bumpers basically, um, to keep those ideas on track and not just going all over the place like my hair used to do. So thank you for that, Maureen, because you never know when you need a scientist, and now I do. So now I can just say, Maureen, can you read this study and tell me what you think about it? And there we go. She's off and running, can give me a good she's my BS meter, to be very honest, not only for my thoughts but everybody else's. So and she's also the holder of common sense when it comes to topic ideas. So thank you for that, Maureen. So that is my team. And I could not do anything that we do without these guys, all of them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough times and with any more sincerity than what's coming out right now. I appreciate you guys. And from the looks of all of these comments over here on the right, you have a lot of clients that appreciate you too. So thank you so much for your hard work. It is about 10:15, so why don't you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, or hang out and watch, either one. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Very cool. Okay. So thanks for all the great comments on the side. Appreciate that. It's always nice to see what folks are thinking, and how much of an impact each of my team and I have made in the community, because that's what makes a good community partner. We're here to help you as much as we can and guide you on this mobility journey. Speaking of journeys, we're going to segue a little bit here, in that book 3 is about to begin. So that is my announcement for today. You have helped me with Sit, Stand, Go, my first book that came out in 2019, I think. I don't remember. My sense of time is bad now. And Emotion to Motion came out right in the frickin' middle of the pandemic. So, but book 3 needs to come out, and it is tentatively titled Exercise is More Than a Walk in the Park. So this book is really going to be about fitness and exercise for mobility challenge dogs, and why it's so important, and what power those two things have to improve your dog's quality of life. I believe that it takes more than just walking your dog every day or every other day. There's got to be more to it. We got to build some strength. We got to build some flexibility. We got to build some stamina. And there's a lot of different ways to do that besides just going for a walk. That's the one everyone remembers, because that's what everybody does, right? You just go for a walk. Well, there's a lot more that can come from a balanced and well thought out product. What's the word I'm looking for? Plan. And that's my goal here, because fitness and exercise, honestly, in my opinion, really are best used when there's a purpose to them. So for our purpose here, that's making your dog better able to complete their activities of daily living, their ADLs. And we want to show you how to help your dog do that. So if you think about simple obedience commands like a sit. Well, the sit is actually like a squat in the gym for a human, just using body weight. So that's great for core work. It's great for quads and hamstrings and glute muscles, butt muscles. So it's a great way to build some strength while you're doing everyday stuff. So I want to help people understand that there's more to um, getting your dog out and moving than just going for a walk. There's a better way to do that. There's a way to supercharge that. So that's what this book's all about. Um, because what makes a good quality of life? Fluid, easy movement, being able to get from one place to another, being able to step up or jump up on that couch, maybe to snuggle up beside mom or dad to watch a movie, or to be able to jump up on the bed, be able to step up into the car. Um, Things that make it possible to really be involved in the everyday life of the family. So, the other piece of that is huge cognitive benefits that come along with that kind of activity. So one of the reasons that Nikki's going to show us some enrichment activities later is that those are brain games. And when you put brain games and strength, flexibility, balance training together, you really supercharge the activity. So I want to be able to help people do that. So if you're wondering where you come in, I need your help. I want your help. I want this to be a very transparent writing um, experience. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what you do. Um, how do you incorporate exercise into your dog's everyday life? What is that exercise? Is it swimming? Is it hiking? Is it incorporating exercises into your walk? How do you do that? And what makes sense to you? Or even better, what questions do you have about that? um, how you could supercharge your dog's exercise. Um, so what I'm looking for, are simple stories. You don't. This doesn't have to be earth shattering. We're not trying to split an atom. We're trying to help folks like you. You're on this journey with a mobility challenge dog. What have you realized? What's worked for you and your dog? How big is your dog? What works for a German Shepherd may not work for a Chihuahua, and vice versa. So, how do we kind of make this approachable and open for other people to use? We're pooling our resources here. Um, so maybe you have a dog gym at home, okay, and that dog gym is stuff that you have pulled from your household. So maybe you're using couch cushions as a balance pad. Maybe you're using mop handles and broom handles as your cavaletti or your ladder. Um, that's a cavaletti behind me. So just the little hurdles. Maybe you're playing a game called pickup sticks where you just drop a lot of obstacles and then you toss in a handful of treats. Um, there are a lot of things where you're like, oh, I figured that out for myself. I assumed everyone else knew that. That that's what I would love to have you share with me, because what you figured out, someone else hasn't. So if we can help them kind of get the shortcuts on this journey, that would be that would be great. That is really what I'd like to do. So what I'm looking to do here, and what I'm hoping some of you will be interested in doing, is I'm looking to build a working group. Um, I want to have a group and an open forum where if you discover something or you recognize something, you can say, "Hey, Kate, this is what I did today. Um, this is what we did today. We came across a couple of new boulders in the park. So instead of having my dog put their feet up just on the curb, we went over and put feet up on the boulder. We found a way to incorporate the environment into what we were doing." That's huge. And those are things that a lot of people haven't figured out yet. So I want to get that information to them. So if we can kind of have my hive mind work together here, that would be fantastic. So I want to get, like I said, a working group. I want to be transparent about this. I want to be able to share what I'm writing. I want to get input and see what you think. You all kind of get to be a Maureen, where you get to kind of go, I don't know about that one, or oh, I really like that idea. That feedback is important. So I really want to get that set up. It also provides those different perspectives. So, like, I have two small dogs who are mobility challenged. They're both under 25 pounds, Half Moon and Andy. That's going to be very different from a 50-pound boxer or a 120-pound Newfoundland. How we handle challenges is going to be different. So, you've been through them, and I would love for you to share what that's been like for you. I think a book that it comes from perspective of many experiences rather than someone who's like, "Oh yeah, this must be what it's like." I think it's much more powerful, and I'd love to have all of you involved in that process. So, that said, if you're interested in that, you can IM me if you're on Facebook, or you can email me, and my email address is ktitus, Titus, at aloyalcompanion.com. If you don't want to remember how to spell my last name, just send it to info at aloyalcompanion.com and it'll get to me as well. But I'd love to have you be part of this book process. I want this to be our book, and I want it to be something we can all share together. So, that said, we talked a little bit about Nikki and the enrichment games. So let's transfer over and talk to Nick a little bit and see what she's got. Now, we are both in the room. We are both double vaccinated and boosted, but we're still going to stay 6 feet apart. We're not going to be masked. So, just wanted to let you all know that before we got started. All right, Nick, you can come on over. Now, I'm just going to point the camera down here, and we are going to go over some enrichment activities. And remember, if you have questions, pop them in the box for us, okay? All right. So remember all of those things we asked you to pick up and to have ready today? Well, now you finally get to find out what you're supposed to do with them. All right, Nikki, let's start with the muffin tin. All right, so talk to us about the muffin tin and what we're going to do with that.
Okay, so we're going to kind of play a little hide and seek game with the muffin tin. What we're going to do is take some treats, and we're going to put treats under each of the balls in each of the compartments. And what we want your dog to do is either use their paw and kind of paw them and pull them out, or their nose and push them out to be able to get to their treats. They definitely will smell them.
Yeah. And speaking of smelling them, we usually use a pretty high value or smelly treat. So maybe a hot dog, maybe chicken, something that fits in their dietary profile. But that can be really helpful. Now, if you have a dog who is super ball driven, this one might be distracting if you do it with tennis balls. So maybe stuffies. We have a couple of different options. You can put socks in on top of that. Just something that they have to move to be able to get the treat. That's the whole game here. So can you help them?
Yeah,
if they're not getting it?
Oh, definitely can help them all the time. You can either pick up the ball and kind of show them there's treats under there. When they go to paw or push it with their nose, you can kind of give them a little boost and help them get that out. Or you can put a whole bunch of treats in there so that the ball sticks up above the compartment so it's easier to push out.
That's cool. And this is one that we like this one a lot here because it's pretty simple. Most people have a muffin tin in their house somewhere. If you don't, it's like a buck at the dollar store. You don't need anything important or fancy. So this one is a popular one, and it's also good if we talked about supercharging the exercise. So if you have a dog who are working on just stability of being able to stand, this is a good one because they're actually active with either a nose or their paws, and they're having to balance. So it turns into a core exercise, and it also turns into a weight shifting exercise. So we can add these two together depending on the mobility challenge or the level of mobility for the dog. All right, what's next?
All right, the next one would be, we just call it a towel roll. But what you're going to do is use a kitchen towel, or you can use a back towel. Most dogs, I find it a little easier if you have it folded over in half the long ways. And what you're going to do is you're going to put treats in the towel, and then you're going to roll it up with the treats in there until it's all rolled up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it in front of your dog to unroll. If they're more of a nose dog, you're going to put it in front of them this way so that when they push it, it unrolls so they find the treats. If they're more of a paw dog, you're going to put it the other way so they can pull it towards them to unroll it.
And then you can make it harder by doing the opposite, right? So if you have a paw dog, if they want to do this, you give it to them the other way,
So they
had to figure it out. Right.
Or you can also unroll it and make it flatter so that there's not as big of a roll for them to get to. So they have to really kind of work at getting that roll unrolled.
So the different sizes of towels probably correspond to the size of the dog, right?
Yeah, if you have, obviously if you have a bigger dog, you probably want to use like a bath towel. A smaller dog, if you have a really small dog, you could probably use a washcloth or something instead. And anything big enough that you don't want the big dogs to eat.
Right, exactly. So that's always important. So this is definitely, especially if your dog has any draw to chewing any kind of fabric, this is definitely a game that you're going to supervise and be involved in. And part of this is, it's a big piece of enrichment, but you know what? It's a lot of fun for you to interact with your dog. So as you make this a little bit harder, which we're going to do here in a second, they may need a little help. They may need a hint. So as we usually recommend, don't do it for them. Give them only as much help as they need. So if I just have to flick that towel a little bit, just to say, oh, hey, buddy, this is how it works. Hey, is there a treat under there? And encourage that foraging, great. But you're only going to want to give them as much help or a little bit less than what they need. You don't want them to get frustrated, but you also want them to rise to the challenge. We want them to use their brain. All right. Okay. So how are we going to make this harder? With the
So what we're going to do next is combine those two activities into what we like to call the cinnamon roll. So to do this one, what you're going to need is some long socks. Got some Scientist Labrador socks here.
You really can't go wrong with a Scientist Labrador. I'm just saying.
And I find it a little easier if you kind of fold them in half long ways as well. And then you're going to take some treats and put them in the sock. And then we're going to roll them up like we did with the towel. So we're making little sock rolls. And then we're going to put that roll into the muffin tin so that we have rolls of socks. And they'll have to take each of those rolls out and unroll them to get all their treats.
That is very cool. This is another favorite one that we really like here because, again, everybody's got socks. And, you can use pieces of fleece for this. We've done that as well, where you can just wrap the treats in there. So the treats, the smelliness of the treats is really going to be determined by what your dog needs to stay engaged. Most of these are food-based games. If you have a dog that's toy-driven, you can do some of these by using the favorite toy rather than the treat in these activities. Most of the dogs we work with are food-motivated, thankfully. You just have to watch your caloric intake. So if you are going to use these enrichment type games, if they like their kibble and they eat kibble, use that as your treat that's going in the inside, and then just deduct that from either their breakfast or their dinner if they eat a couple of meals a day. So these are all, like I said, everyday items. You can even, if you have a big dog, you could probably even do a small kid's T-shirt in something like that. So if you have kids, you can use their shirts. Heaven knows they're going to get them dirty anyway, so you might as well just use them. Okay, cool. So where are we going from here? We're going to go to the okay. So is everybody? Sometimes I get some funny looks when I say, the shell game. And then I have to say, okay, do you know 3-Card Monte? And they'll look at me kind of funny, and I'm like, okay, have you ever seen a movie that takes place in New York where they have the cards folded in half and they move them around really fast and you have to find out where the P is? That's this game, okay? This is the shell game. So tell us about it, Nick.
So what you're going to need for the shell game is 3 containers. These are just little plastic pots from the dollar store that we put some holes in so that the dogs could smell the treats. But you could use Tupperware containers, you could use cups, you could use red Solo cups, you could use plastic kids cups, pretty much any kind of container that you
Old
can.
cream cheese containers.
Cream
You could
cheese.
use a box. We eat a lot of mac and cheese here. So you could actually use the tray the mac and cheese comes in. Yeah, that's a popular meal here. Okay, go ahead, Nikki.
All right, so then what we're going to do to start with is we're going to put a treat under each of the containers so that your dog will win each time, no matter which container they pick. And then we want them to smell the treat, which is why we put the holes in them. And again, they're either going to use their nose or their paws to either kind of pull that back towards them or push it over to get that treat out from underneath there. If they need a little help, you can kind of prop the little container up on top of that treat so they can still get that treat, but they still have to move the container to get it. You can just kind of keep tipping it over and help them tip it over when they push it so that they get the idea that they need to tip it over to get that treat. And then once they start to understand that, you're going to just put 1 treat underneath the pots. So only this one has a treat. You're going to show them which one the treat is under, and then you're going to let them get the treat by telling them find it or search or whatever kind of game or whatever word you're using. And once then they get that, to make it more difficult, we're going to start to kind of, while they're watching, move the containers so that the treat, so they have to follow where the treat goes to get it, but they can still smell it through the holes in case they weren't paying attention.
Imagine that, a dog not paying attention. How did that happen? So this one is a great one to incorporate with some of your fitness exercises. So for example, when Nikki was telling you that you want to, when we go down to just 1 treat underneath the cups. So while you're setting that up, have your dog do a sit. So we get a good sit, good strong, they have to hold it. And then once you've moved them around and set, you can use your release word, maybe that's okay, or find it, whatever that happens to be. Then you get a stand, then they go over to work on it. So what you also get is if you're working on, maybe it's front limb strength, they're bending over to try to find or manipulate. Every time they pick up just 1 paw, if you've gone through any of our fitness appointments, you'll recognize the term the challenge stance. So once they start doing this, they're in an active challenge stance because they're only on 3 legs. So they have to engage their core to be able to do that. So all of this stuff can be incorporated into what you're doing, the exercises that we want them to do. So maybe one time you ask them to do a sit while you're moving stuff around. Maybe the next time you ask them to do it down. Maybe you ask them to put 2 feet on something while they're waiting. You can absolutely incorporate all of those things into your exercises. And it gets their brain burning. So I have people come in and say, he's so active, I need something that's just going to tire him out. And the first thing I recommend is an enrichment element, because that mental energy burns about as much, mental engagement burns about as much energy as physical engagement does. So when you put those 2 together, you really supercharge that. And it's fun. I mean, if your dog is food motivated, they're going to enjoy doing these kinds of things. They're going to enjoy these games. Now we had another one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So something that you probably all have in your house is a toilet paper roll and a paper towel roll. Right? You're always going to have those. Those can be enrichment activities. So Nikki, tell us how that works.
So what we can do with the toilet paper rolls is make what we call a fortune cookie. So what you're going to do first is you're going to fold one of the sides in by folding kind of like a half moon shape in and then doing the other side so that it closes up. Then you're gonna put some treats in it. And then you're going to fold the other side up the same way, kind of like half the roll and then the other half. And then it kind of makes a fortune cookie shape. And then you're just gonna give this to your dog. They can either kind of tear it open if you don't mind if they're tearing it. Some dogs figure out how to nose or paw that open to make it open up so the treats dump out. You can also cut a hole in it so that when it's closed up and they roll it around, the treats come out of the hole.
That's cool. That's cool. And that, that is also one. There's a sound element. I'm not sure if you can hear the sound, but because the treats roll around in there, now we're engaging their auditory system as well. So it's like, oh, what is that? There's something in there. You can also take that roll and put it in a sock or roll it in a towel. So you can start to put those things together. The great part about the enrichment activities is that the only limit is your imagination. So being able to find ways to challenge your dog, that's part of the fun for you too, because you enjoy spending time with your dog or you wouldn't be here today. And these are just new ways to do that. Basically everything that you're going to recycle or packaging specifically, it's going to have a different use. Should we talk about we don't have one here today, but should we talk about the box?
Oh yeah, so what we call it a foraging box. So what you're gonna do is just a box. It can be an Amazon box. It could be even like a plastic storage container. Whatever it is, you're gonna fill it with items. It could be balls, it could be socks, it could be plastic water bottles, anything that can fill up that box. And then you're gonna put treats inside of it so that and then they have to dig through all those items to get the treats that have scattered throughout the box.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. It's one of the other versions of that is if you have room to have a small little kiddie pool, filling that with empty water bottles, plastic balls, anything like that they have to move and forage around can be a lot of fun. So the easier way to do that is with a dog size appropriate box. So you're not going to want to put something in for a Great Dane that maybe you've got a cell phone cover it. You want to have a little bit bigger box so they actually can forage. But I like that one a lot too. I'm a big believer in let's use what we've got. You don't have to buy a ton of equipment. You can use anything you have, just about anything you have in your house to be able to do that. So cool. Thanks, Nick.
Of course.
That was fun. And if you have any questions about any of those, you can just pop those into the comment section and we'll get answers back to you on those as well. Lots of great comments coming in. Keep those going. If you have ideas of your own, we'd obviously love to hear those too. Go ahead and share those with us. You can either put them on our Facebook page, I am them into us, and we'll put them up there and give you credit for that one. We're about ready to move on to our special guest today. I'm really pleased that Dr. Forer agreed to come on and talk to us today. Earlier in the year, we had an event with the folks at Ina Road with Dr. Johnston, where we did some free evaluations on acupuncture, really just to see if your dog was a willing participant in something like that. It's a different type of modality or item that we use for pain control. It has lots of different purposes. But I thought it would be helpful if you kind of heard a little bit more about it and learned a little bit more and see if it's going to be right to add to your dog's regimen, to add to that toolbox that you have. So I've asked Dr. Janet Forer from Sunrise Pet Clinic to come on and talk to us. Dr. Forer, in full disclosure, is a veterinarian for my kids. Andy and Half Moon and Helen. I hold her fully responsible for managing Helen's horrible IBD, irritable bowel disease, for the last, let's see, we're going on 9 years now, without the use of prednisone or modern pharmaceuticals. So she's pretty much a miracle worker in my view. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Four, and then I'm going to bring her on. She's been practicing vet medicine since the early 90s. In 2001, she added acupuncture and herbal medicine. Thank God. Helen thanks you for that. She's also added nutritional whole food therapies to her practice as well. Huge, big, strong animal advocate, contributing to legislation for bans on cockfighting, veal, gestation crates for pigs, and was played a role in eliminating greyhound racing in Arizona. So big thank you for that. And I think when I asked her to do this, she said, "Oh, I can talk about acupuncture every day of the year. I love it." So, so I think one of her biggest joys in her practice is being able to combine the East and the West to get the right combination for each individual patient and client. So, let's bring Dr. Four on. You ready? Here we go, Dr. Four. There she is. Hey, how are you? It's good to see you today.
Good. This has
Good,
been
good,
really
good.
interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming on. I know it's a Sunday, and doctors like to have their time off, and I can totally appreciate that considering what everybody's going through right now in vet medicine. So, so I was hoping that you could help us out a little bit on talking about acupuncture. So let's just start with the basics. What is it? What is it? Tell us about that.
So, acupuncture is an ancient technique for helping your body readjust. And as many people know, it started in the East, mostly in China. Lots of written records. There were probably similar techniques in other cultures, but maybe they just didn't get written down.
Right. Okay.
So using areas of the body, either pressure or, as most people are familiar with, acupuncture needles, to activate the body. And one of the really simple examples that I give to a lot of the clients is you're walking around with kind of a low-grade headache, and you stub your toe. And you're like, dang, ow, that really hurts. But you may notice that for a little while, your headache goes away.
Cool.
I think most of us have done something similar to that. And it's your body saying, hey, watch out for your foot over here. You're going to lose a toe. Don't be thinking so much about this.
Okay.
And so in ancient, super prehistoric times, probably people recognized this reflex, and they just would say, well, I'm gonna rub my hand and it makes my face feel better, or I'm gonna rub my knee and it makes my stomach feel better. There's just these reflexes in the body, and then it got more fine-tuned. Archaeologic excavations find, where people had a little piece of bone that they shared around the village, and they poked themselves and made them feel better. And then it got a little more refined. So now what most people think of as acupuncture is very fine gauge needles that are inserted in areas of the body.
Super thin, right?
Super thin, like way thinner than any kind of needle you'd have for an injection.
Okay.
Even, like thinner than just a little vaccine needle.
Okay.
Various sizes and lengths determined on the area of the body that you're acupuncturing. And I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It'll come back. Well, let me ask you a question, because I was about to interrupt you anyway, so that works out perfectly. So, so how does it work? I mean, I've watched you do acupuncture to Andy, and I've seen him be really relaxed about it, and I've seen him go, nope, you're not doing it. So how does that work when you actually, one, where are you putting the needles? And two, what happens when you do that? And how deep are you going?
So there are areas of the body called meridians or
Ooh, I
kind
have a
of
picture
channels
of that.
through the body, which you have a picture.
I do. I do. Okay, so I'm going to put the picture up. Keep talking about meridians.
Okay. So meridians are channels of energy through the body that people have recognized over centuries. Like I was saying, oh, you rub your hand
Mhm.
and there's a little purple line that's going from the dog's nose down to the front leg.
This guy right here, right?
Yeah,
Oops.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
you know it's that channel where people you can actually kind of feel that energy going through your body. And so we work mostly on those meridians.
Okay. And then I'm gonna pop a picture of the, acupuncture chart, okay? Sorry, it's a little blurry, but you can't see exactly what the points say because I have to admit I stole this picture. But anyway, you can see there are all these different points, and there are some meridians on here. I'm not sure which ones those are, but there are different ways to access those points, right?
Right. So for dogs and cats, we use a lot of the channels that are on the back or the points that are on the back
Mhm.
of the dog. Um, Sometimes we use some of the points that are on the underside, but as you can see, even with this very cooperative dog, it's kind of tricky to get to the underside sometimes.
Yep. Yes. This dog is alive, by the way. He doesn't really look it in that one where he's laying on his side. Um, but yeah, so that is so you're activating. It's kind of like the energy flowing along those meridians, right? So there's
Exactly.
a blockage or something, right?
Exactly. You've been paying attention at your appointments. That's awesome.
My mom's a librarian. It's what we do. We gather information whether we need it right now or not. So,
So
um,
sometimes when you get near an area that's the source of pain, the needles are going to be more painful at that area.
mhm, okay.
In Chinese medicine theory, pain is an area of blockage of energy, and a good example of that is when you have a bruise. So if you have a bruise on your leg, you see this purpley thing, and it's
Mhm,
tender. And the idea of healing is to get blood flow down through there and toxins back out. Um, and so you'll use, if you're treating something like a bruise, you'll use points above and below, sometimes close to the site, but sometimes that's too painful. So that's sometimes
mhm,
where the patient will react.
mhm,
So when I'm acupuncturing, I'm often going far away and kind of working my way in. How
mhm,
far close can we get without the patient suffering?
mhm.
Um, and but just to get that energy moving through the site. And
So,
the same can be true for, say, a herniated disc that you
oh,
can't
okay.
see the bruise, but down under there is that blockage of energy, that disc material in the spine pushing on the nerves.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So let's kind of skip over a little bit to what kind of diseases or injuries you can use acupuncture for. So I've already mentioned that you do acupuncture on Andy, and he has intervertebral disc disease. So he has exactly what you just described. He has bruises from the disc, probably on the cord, if I'm correct in that assumption. So you're trying to release the energy through that. It's almost like we're trying to clear a roadblock, right?
Yeah. So just like your body works around a bruise and clears up that damaged tissue, if you have a pinched nerve or a broken bone, your body's always working to move things, nutrients into the site and move toxins out of the site, um, up and down the area.
Okay. Okay. So we've talked about bruising, fractures, intervertebral disc disease. Tell me what other kind of injuries or diseases can you use acupuncture for?
So in my practice, I am mostly using it for injuries, back, hip dysplasia, arthritis, trying to keep the energy moving through the body when there is either a short-term or, in the case of arthritis, like a long-term problem there.
Like a chronic issue.
Can be a chronic issue, can be an acute issue.
Okay.
One patient that I saw early on in my acupuncture career was a cat that had fallen off a bookcase. It was a young cat, like 3 years old, and went to see the regular veterinarian, couldn't walk on its back legs. Veterinarian gave her some steroids. Great. It's a cute injury, young patient. The cat was up and walking in a couple of days, but she kept licking her feet, licking like all the hair off her hind feet. So obviously there was something still going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that cat, we acupunctured the spine. And after the first visit, when she came back for her second visit, I think, oh, she might be licking less. And I acupunctured again. And the next time you could see hair regrowing very well.
Cool.
Now that young cat did not let me acupuncture a third time. She said, thanks, Dr. Four. Good job. I'm good. I'm healing.
Back off with the needles.
I don't see a lot of those patients because in most cases, if you had a fall and you treated the initial inflammation, your body would go on and heal. But for some reason, that cat just had a little problem where it just wasn't quite healing.
Is it almost like it's almost like a body overreaction? Like there's too much inflammation. They're sending too many resources to the area and you have to clear them out.
And there can be a lot of reasons why you don't heal. It can be that you have too much inflammation. It can be that maybe your nutrition isn't great.
Okay.
It can be some underlying disorder of your body, maybe not such a young patient, but a patient that maybe had a fall and is borderline diabetic.
Okay.
They might have they might need a little more support to recover.
Okay.
A lot of the patients that I see and that come in are arthritis or back disease.
Okay. So I have somebody has a question about acupuncture and eyes. So can you do anything with chronic eye conditions?
So anytime that there's inflammation, acupuncture can be helpful.
Okay.
There are all sorts of indications for inflammation of eyes, for ears, for the mouth. Of course, you want to be sure that you're treating the underlying disorder.
Okay.
If the underlying disorder is I'm allergic to Palo Verde blossoms, acupuncture will help you, but you need to make sure that you're avoiding the blossoms and that your immune system is balanced and those kinds of things.
Got it. Okay. And we had another question here that came in about identifying the source of pain. How do you do that? How do you find that as far as from the acupuncture perspective?
So certainly if you can find x-rays that show arthritis in the hips or the knees, and that's where the patient is painful, then that's helpful. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't know the source until you're doing the acupuncture. Many times I have been surprised that, they have arthritis. They act like the pain is there, but maybe there's really something up in their neck that is the bottleneck for their mobility. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're going along with those acupuncture needles. And like I said, you get to that source of inflammation and all of a sudden the patient who's like, oh, I don't care if needles go in, says, ow, that's it. And it's amazing how many times that can really help like loosen up that flow of energy and get them walking better, even though you didn't make their arthritis go away.
Right. You change the way the dog experienced the pain from the arthritis, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you made some other part of their body feel better. And it can be the reverse as well. Maybe that was the source of the mobility issue, or maybe that was the secondary thing. I can't make the arthritis go away, but if the patient is shifting all their weight forward because their knees hurt, you can strengthen the front.
Mhm.
and make their life a lot better.
Yeah, and that's, uh, one of the things that I tell clients when I recommend acupuncture is that exercise, massage, and acupuncture go really well together, especially when
Absolutely.
we're dealing with pain from compensatory issues. So if you do have those bad knees and everything's leaning forward, all of a sudden you get pain between the shoulder blades, behind the scapula, the triceps, the rhomboids, all of that front shoulder structure gets really painful because it's doing work it's not supposed to be doing. So even though we can't address the cause of the pain here, working in conjunction with you or with a veterinarian that provides acupuncture, we can certainly make the overall body more comfortable to be in and address and give some relief to those compensatory measures. Um, I read a study or listened to a podcast about a young Labrador who had I couldn't figure out why he was constantly licking. He was licking a particular part of his body. I think it was his paws. They had not done a full workup. They hadn't done X-rays. They hadn't done anything along those lines. And they found out the dog had horrible hip dysplasia, and he was actually licking acupuncture points. He was trying to self-soothe by finding his own points, which I thought was fascinating because the dogs know it intuitively, and I think that's pretty cool when it comes to the dogs trying to heal themselves and trying to make themselves more comfortable. So let's you go
There's
ahead.
also like a lot of acupuncture points around your ear. When you look at those meridian charts,
Yeah.
several go around the ear. So those dogs who just love you to get in there and rub their ears,
Mm.
they're probably getting a lot of benefit from that.
Oh, that's very cool. I hadn't thought about that. That's awesome. So there are different ways that you can deliver the acupuncture. So it isn't always needles. It isn't always needles alone. There are different ways that you do that. So what different ways? I know you primarily do the needling, but
So I
are there other ways you
primarily do the needling.
Okay.
That's the basic technique. You
Okay.
can use simple pressure at a point.
Mhm.
So I was saying there's some points like here on your am I showing that right? Here on your hand is a
Mhm.
point for your mouth. So you can
Isn't that
sit.
the one you use if you have a an ice cream high?
Oh, maybe makes sense. So pressure can be a way.
Okay.
Heat can be a way. So there's a special herbal called moxa that you can use. You burn it. You set the not the dog, of course. You burn the moxa and you hold it close to the point, and it warms it up.
Yeah, that is very cool. I have to interrupt you for a second. Andy had that the last time he was there when he said, "No, no, you're not putting any more needles in me."
Mhm.
You asked the question about whether he seemed like he was cold, which he had. This was during the cold snap. And then the moxa I thought was really interesting because it looks like a fat crayon, and it's got like it's ground to a point here like a Crayola, and then you just like lit it. You just heated up that point,
But
right?
it burns very, very hot. So you felt that like that
Yeah.
heat from the moxa heating up the point, and then the area still feeling warm afterwards.
Yep, and
Um,
within about 2 minutes of you starting that process, he went from, like, "You're not doing anything today," to asleep. He just
he
went
did
down.
literally
"Oh,
go
yeah,
to
I like
sleep.
that. I don't like the pokey things, but I like that." Now you've also done, hooked up some electrodes to that.
Electric. So
Yeah.
mild electrical stimulation, like with a 9-volt battery, not plug it into the wall.
Yeah.
And that's also a way of warming up the points. It's a little more tricky. You've got a dog now or a cat that's got needles plus wires sticking into it. So,
Mm,
and it's a little stronger technique. Stronger
mhm,
isn't always better, but for a patient that's really down, like really not walking, not feeling acupuncture points on the feet. Sometimes I'll
mm,
use that electrical stimulation to just give a little more like, hey, I'm down here. Remember your feet.
yeah.
Um, in humans, you all might know about cupping, where this is a technique where you use heat to make a vacuum under a little glass cylinder traditionally. And you'll see some athletes where they have this big circle, like kind of a little bruised circle, but basically they're stimulating the acupuncture point with suction.
Yeah, Michael Phelps made some headlines in the last Olympics there where he swam. He had the huge cupping marks on the back of him. What about you ever do B12 injections? Anything like that?
Oh yeah, sometimes B12, because that supplement then stays at the point. So if you want to have a longer stimulation, that can be helpful. You can inject other things into the points too, homeopathics, like Tramiel.
Okay.
Can go into the points.
Okay. And then do you ever do anything with laser acupuncture?
And laser. So another way to kind of gently stimulate and warm up the point.
Cool.
So by laser, we mean infrared light.
Infrared light. Okay. So not like the laser that you would use for your lasering technique, say on a elbow. Is it the same head, or do you put something different on it so it's a sharper point?
So if you're doing acupuncture laser, there are sharper points.
Okay.
I think the whole infrared laser thing is almost like another talk.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, we'll save that one for next time. I'm going to hold you to that, by the way.
Okay.
So, so we got a few more minutes left. So I wondered if you could kind of talk us through a session and what that's like. And I especially like you to talk about baking.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I have a new patient for acupuncture consultation, maybe their regular veterinarian says, "Hey, I think you could benefit." Then first thing will be a good history.
Okay.
Most important thing. So I am going to flash this up on the screen and say, "I love this book."
Oh. Thank you.
Because if you, as the caretaker of the pet, owner, client, whatever we want to call you, can have as good an idea of what's going on with your pet as possible. And that doesn't mean you have to come to me with a diagnosis. You
Right.
could just tell me, "Hey, my dog has arthritis in its left knee and it limps on its right front." That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Or like when he gets up, he limps on his right front. This is a lot of information to me because I can't always see that in the exam. One, the pet is going to be a little nervous. They may not show me all what they're doing at home. But of course, I'll try to get them to show me. I'll talk to you for a while and we'll have a little conversation about food and exercise and things like that. And what I'm doing is I'm waiting for their adrenaline to ease off a little bit so that the next time they stand up, maybe I see a little more about how they're moving or standing or holding themselves.
Yeah.
I'm also giving them treats to see, can they sit easily? Can they stand up easily? Even though it's kind of conversational, I'm watching all what they do. And then, just a basic physical exam, listen to their heart and that kind of thing, feel them all over, feel for areas of tension or heat. And then if we decide, hey, acupuncture seems like a good thing here, I'm going to bring out my little acupuncture needle box and I'm going to start with just a couple of points, general points for like general wellness, see how the patient does with that. Some patients, amazingly good, like they're like, "Oh yeah, lay it on." Some patients, needles, just like humans, they don't like them.
Half moon.
Yeah. Like he can hear a needle coming out of a package.
Yes, he can.
And if it's going well, like the patient's like, "Hey, this is all right, great. We're going to place needles over the body." It's going to be dependent on the case, sometimes 5 or 10, sometimes 30. And the patient's going to sit with the needles in place for 15 to 20 minutes. So that's the part that people can't believe, that they actually sit there. Usually I'll have a technician helping me to kind of just gently corral them a little.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the patients will actually lie down.
Mhm.
Or sit, which is fine, especially after they've had a few treatments and they kind of
Oh,
get that little buzz feeling.
yeah.
If you've ever had acupuncture before, you get that little tingly feeling. Sometimes you feel the energy moving along those meridians, and the pets
Mhm.
will have different reactions to that. Um,
Yep.
Usually good, um,
Yeah.
amazingly usually good. And then if at the end of 20 minutes, we'll take the needles out. Some patients, though, in 10 or 12 minutes, will start popping the needles out on their own. This is a good thing. It means energy has arrived at the point. And so there's no need to put that needle back in. It's done its job. Um,
Okay.
and sometimes the patients will feel that little tingly, they'll shake and you'll see some needles come out. So, yeah, sometimes that means that the needles really were done. So usually what you'll see me do in that case is I'll check a few points. I might try replacing 1 or 2 needles, but it may be that they're done.
Mhm.
Um, Afterwards, the patient still has a little adrenaline, but once they get home, I usually like to hear that they take a nap.
Yeah, a crash in a big way.
Yeah,
And
we
certainly does.
moved a lot of energy around the body.
Mhm.
And so we want to take a little nap. But they can do their normal activity.
Mhm.
Just, I say, don't do anything crazy. Just because the dog, maybe feels better in an hour or two, don't just like hike up Mount Lemon, do something that's out of your routine. Um,
Mhm.
Acupuncture generally takes 3, 4, 5, sometimes longer, depending on the chronicity of the situation, to have its full effect. So the patient will usually feel is like, oh, I feel a little bit better the day after my acupuncture. That's great. And then
Yeah.
that's going to kind of fade. And then they get
Mhm.
their next treatment and they're a little better for a couple, 2, 3 days, and then that'll fade. And hopefully we get to the point where they're maintaining between treatments.
Mhm. And
Because a
that's
lot of because a lot of my patients are geriatric, they usually go on some sort of maintenance plan.
Mhm.
Not everybody's like the little cat that fell off the bookcase and just
Yeah,
goes on his merry way.
if only. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's where the massage component really helps elongate those effects. So you get
Mhm.
the massage, they feel great. I'm sorry, they get the acupuncture, they feel great. Maybe a week later, we'll see them for massage, and then the week after that, maybe they're back for their acupuncture or 2 weeks back. So we're able to help elongate those benefits just by keeping keeping the compensatory challenges, at bay. Now you guys don't do Reiki there, right?
I don't do any Reiki, no.
You don't do
But
any
a lot
Reiki.
of my clients know some basic Reiki, and I definitely encourage them to do it at home because it definitely extends the intervals as
Mhm.
well.
Okay,
The
good.
other thing that I encourage people to do is core.
Yeah.
So another reason I just love Kate and the work that she does is because some of these patients come to me and they haven't been walking because they've been sore and they haven't been doing
Mhm.
any other kind of exercise and they're just sway backed and
Mhm.
and they don't have that core strength anymore. They're just using their limbs to pull themselves up.
Right.
And so if they can get into a gentle exercise program and help build that abdominal strength, it takes the pressure off their back, it takes the pressure off their limbs. It's really, really helpful.
Okay, and we have, and that is absolutely true, and I find swimming does that really, really well. It's non-concussive, so there's no pounding. They're able to get a fuller range of motion through all of their joints without having to maintain and stay upright. Frankly, I have one more question for you here. It's about pain control and being able to back off some medications.
My goal is always that if they can back off medications, that's great. Sometimes they come to me, they can't take the medication. That's why they're coming to see me.
Right.
We always want them to be on the lowest dose of anti-inflammatory possible.
Hmm.
Sometimes they come to me and that's just not possible.
Right.
That
Right.
it's too much.
Yeah, and I know sometimes it's as a pet parent or as a guardian, it's really hard to not wanna try that, and I wanna reinforce that it's super important that you don't just try that on your own. You really need to talk to your vet team about that. You know what's going on at home. You can describe all of the actions. You can describe the stiffness. You can describe the way they're moving. Um, but it's your vet team and it's your veterinarian that's going to they're going to translate what you're telling them. They're going to tell you what that means. And I've had some folks come in that have taken their dogs off the anti-inflammatory because they didn't want their dogs on drugs, and it's like, well, here's what's happening. That's not the best way to accomplish that. Or if that is your goal, let's work toward it in a longer term look. It's not something you can just take on and off. Okay. So resist the urge to do that, I guess is my advice for you there. Um, okay, I have had so much fun talking to you that I ran over my time, but we definitely want to do this again. And I remember you saying laser was a whole nother talk, so you are going to be held to that.
Very
Um,
good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us, especially on a Sunday morning. I'm sure you've got coffee waiting for you somewhere. So I really appreciate you. There you go. I appreciate all the folks at Sunrise. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All righty. Take care. All right. So we have one more activity that Nikki's going to help us out with. So if you stop by and picked up, oops, got to stop moving my desk. If you stop by and picked up an activity kit, that was this guy. And thank you to my wife Kathy for putting the boxes together. They're not easy. You should have gotten a couple of number sevens. You should have gotten a couple of bandanas in here. So it's time to pull those out. Um, and you should have gotten some markers, which Nikki has on the table there with her. Some of you may have gotten cookies that were not sevens. Did you do it in lieu of sevens or did you do it in addition to sevens? In lieu. Okay. So you may have gotten cookies that looked like suits, card suits, uh, spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds. Thank you. I missed the diamonds. If you got those, you are a lucky winner. So if you can identify yourselves in the chat, that would be great because you have just won a t-shirt. Those were our special gift this year. And your dog will love those cookies. These are Kathy's famous gingerbread cookies. They're very popular. These have been dehydrated, so they're a little snappy. They'll last a little bit longer, but I don't know if your dog's going to let you just hold on to them. So you might as well just give it up and give them the cookies. But a couple of years ago, we started doing oh, cool. Tina has got the spades. Awesome. So we got one, and I think we have another one there. So just let us know if you have those, and we'll get you all hooked up. So a couple years ago, we started activities, and we had a lot of fun. We made toys for Pima Animal Care dogs. So dogs that are in the shelter, we made toys. But the big one was bandanas. Everybody loved the bandanas. So we've kept doing that. So we call that create a bandana, create a connection. So it makes a big difference when you have a dog and a bandana in the shelter, in their kennels or in their runs. It catches people's eyes. It lets people know that this dog is cared about. This dog can be fun. It catches their eye for maybe a dog who wouldn't get noticed. Right now, the shelter is very overcrowded. They have kennels set up in non-public rooms, so that means conference rooms, offices, anything to keep these dogs housed. The last thing they want to do is euthanize for space, and they have been fantastic about sticking to that. So we'd like to help them out. So you should have gotten a couple of bandanas in your packet. So Nick's going to show you some things that you can do with those, and just give you some ideas on on how you can get those designed and send them over. So you have the option of designing them, keeping them for yourself, or you can bring them back into us and we will make sure they get to pack. We have a whole container. We have a big, like, body size box that we keep filling up. So we have blankets in there now. We have leashes in there. We have some used dog equipment that we've washed up is ready to go. We'll add your bandanas into that with a special note where they came from. So just get those back to us. But let's have Nikki show us a couple of ideas on what to do with the bandanas. All right, Nick, take it away.
All right. So for all of them, I find it best just to have it folded in half just once as a diagonal, because they can always roll it down to make it shorter for the smaller dogs, but they still need the length to tie around the neck. So I find it best to do it that way. Because it's a thinner fabric, what you're going to want to do is take just a piece of paper, a piece of cardboard, anything that you don't mind getting color on, and put it under that first layer so it's going in between, just so the marker doesn't go through and onto whatever table or whatever you're working on. A couple of ideas you can decorate for different holidays. We've got some shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day and some hearts for Valentine's Day. The shamrocks are just 4 hearts put together with a stem on them. So nothing too complicated.
You've never seen me color, have you?
The paw print we have on here right now is just an upside down heart with 4 ovals on it for the paw pads. You could draw flowers. You can, if you have a favorite dog and you want to write their name on it, you could write their name on it. For the flowers, you're just gonna draw a circle and then teardrop shapes around it to make the flower. That's just the beginning of it, but cool. But yeah, pretty much, the sky's the limit. We just want them to be colorful and eye-catching, just something to bring people's attention to that dog in that kennel.
Cool. And then could you do words on it, like I'm a good kisser, or pick me,
Yeah, definitely.
stuff like that?
This one's got Lucky on it.
Yeah.
That could be the dog's name, or just the fact that it could be lucky that you have that dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, words, just colors and designs. You could just draw lines, all over to make it just a colorful, attention-grabbing bandana.
Kind of like pickup sticks in color
There you go.
on the bandana. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. Nikki actually came up with this idea for us a couple of years ago. So I appreciate her creativity because I have this much. So that's one of those cases where you want to have people involved with you that are better at things than you are. And she certainly fits that bill. Okay. So we've now come to the point where we are at our celebration of life section for this year's anniversary. Just to give you a little background, our first anniversary here in our building took place the second weekend in January of 2016. In the prior 4 months, let's say since probably October, all of us who worked here at the time had lost at least one dog or pet. And it was a very sad fall for us. I lost Harley, who was my heart dog and really the foundation of what a loyal companion is. Nikki had lost a pup, Zippy. Her father had lost a dog, Allie. Cindy Morgan, who was our trainer at the time, she had lost her heart dog, Misty. Diana, who used to work with us, had lost her dog, and it was not a really happy place. So we came up with the idea that we were going to have a celebration, and we were going to celebrate what those dogs had brought to our lives. We invited others to share with us and the dogs that they had lost in that year. It manifested as a table with a tablecloth, and we asked folks to bring in pictures, and we had a toast. And there seemed to be we stood in a big circle, and we said our names and we said our dogs' names that we had lost, and it was cathartic. It was healing to be able to be in the room with so much love, and it became very obvious to us that it was something that we needed to continue to do. Um, we we love what we do here at a Loyal Companion, but we see a lot of loss. A lot of dogs that we work with are seniors. They are geriatric, and we don't get to spend nearly as much time with them as we'd like to. So, as a way to honor them, the celebration of life has morphed itself into a way of sharing that with everyone. Um, this year we had nearly 80 photos submitted of dogs and cats that we had worked with over the last 11 years that were lost in 2021. I think our total that we have is somewhere around 110 um, that we know of that had passed away. So, if you're with us today and you are a guardian of one of those dogs who has passed away, if you feel comfortable, I'd love it for you to type your dog's name into the comment section, and just let us share with you um, the love and loss of your dog or cat, and we're all in this together, and we want you to know that we're here for you as a team to help you not only when we're trying to get your dog stronger, but we're here if you need us after they're gone. Um, One of the most amazing things that I experience and we experience here is having worked with a family. The dog has passed away, and they want to come back however many months or weeks later and say, "Thank you so much. I'd like you to meet Jackson. He's our new dog, and if we ever need you, we're going to come back and see you for Jackson." Um, that they continue to come back and see us after that first dog has passed. So um, please go ahead and start keying in your names if you'd like. Um, and just so you know, if you have anyone you would like to share this memorial video with, I'm going to post it on YouTube as a separate video, so you don't have to share an hour and 28-minute video that they have to sit through to get to the important part. So I will put it up there. I'll put it up there separately. Okay. And I will do my best. I have my tissue ready, by the way. Um, we will. You know what? I'm just going to stop talking, and we're going to let's uh, let's honor the dogs that we've lost. Here we go. Sorry, that's a hard one. Took me a couple of days to build that, and I'm really thankful to Kim for making sure we got it right. And if we spelled your dog's name wrong, I'm really sorry. We did the best. We did the best we could. Um, I hope uh, I hope you know how much we care about your dogs and we care about you. Uh, and we we really appreciate you trusting us with your dogs. Um, you mean a lot to us. Our dogs, your dogs, mean a lot to us. So, um, uh, I'm also a little tired. Sorry. um, we appreciate everything that you do for us, and allowing us to be part of your dog's life and into your life and your family as well. So we appreciate that, and we want nothing but the best for you and for your animals and for your family. So if there's any way that we can help you or can help your friends or your neighbors, please let us know. We'll do absolutely the best that we can for you. Um, so we want all of you to stick around. So I want you guys to stay safe, and make good decisions and wear your masks and keep keep doing the best you can for your mobility challenge dogs because we certainly are going to be there for you and for them um, as long as you'd like us to be. So thank you again for making our 7th year amazing. And we wouldn't be here without you. So appreciate your time today and the time you give us when you come to visit. And we're here for you. So um, go out. I'm going to stop babbling and bubbling and snotting on the screen. And you guys go and have a good rest of your day. Okay. You guys take care. Let's go make year 8 great. Okay. Bye everybody.